Welcome to another video from East Beds Bushcraft, the home of #survival.
Greetings, bushcrafter and survivalist. Buzz here, enjoying a coffee as usual. Anyway, today I thought I would talk about bow drills, friction fire lighting. I did a short video a few days ago, which you'll see the footage on this video, where literally just from my own practice, I decided to make a bow drill and to do it. Once in a while it's handy to just practice those skills even though you don't use them that often. So a lot of people ask me about, oh, that looks really good, how do you do it, and the short video I put up didn't really explain anything about it particularly. As you probably can hear on this video, it's absolutely pouring down with rain at the moment, so we're just going to discuss it in the bushcraft shelter. But basically, to make a bow drill, I'd recommend you get a piece of this. Now this is dead standing willow. Any willow will do, but you can take a hearth board out of this quite merrily and fashion a spindle as well. But you must have the same woods, and willow is one of my favourites for making a bow drill. So you just want to be able to put the hearth board here. I've got all the components. So you basically want to choose a piece. You need to be able to get your foot on it. I use a different method as well, where I put another piece of split wood on it and put my knee on it. Everybody does a different way of doing it, but you can see where you can get your half board out of a piece of dead standing willow like this, and choose a piece that's, if you can find it, that's either got another stem on it that you can get your spindle out of, or it's slightly longer, and although this is thick, you can use your knife just to easily split that down. Just cut yourself a piece that you wish to use for your half and spindle, knife in the top, cut it down, split it. Well, there you go. Dry standing willow is what I recommend. So your half board, you want to split that down to about 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, and ignore the fact that I've put a bowl in there already. That's what it's going to look like. And then you want to whittle with your knife. So let's just get myself a knife out. Okay, so with your knife, I always tend to prefer putting my thumb on it and get in there and start whittling out. Okay, whittling out a hollow, which will give you a very rough little hollow in it. Don't cut the V wedge. Okay, you see that V wedge? You don't want to cut that. You just want to cut a rough hollow in it. That's your half board. Then you want your spindle. Now your spindle, again, I tend to use something that's about as thick as my finger. Okay, it's good and sturdy. And for a measure, I usually use the span of my finger to thumb, and that will give you a nice length for a spindle. You don't want it too long, don't want it too short. You want to make sure the end which goes into the actual half board is just domed over enough, not too much, because you need the surface area to get the friction. However, the opposite end, you want that more pointed, the part that goes into the bearing block, because you don't want any friction at that end, or you want to minimise the friction. I also, if you can see this, I also cut a little wedge all the way around for the bow string to go into. You can leave it plain, but I like just to put a little notch in there, just to help keeping it central. And you want to see if you can make sure that your spindle is as straight as possible. Okay, straight as possible. Now, both the spindle and your half board, same material, both willow. When it comes to the bearing block, you can make the bearing block out of anything you like. This actually is a piece of apple, and you want to make sure that the bearing block just fits nice and comfortably in the hand. Excuse me while I have my coffee to go cold. Buzz does like his coffee. So you want something that's comfortably going to go into your hand. And so you can use any timber you like. And sometimes people even use bone. You know, I've seen people using bone as a spindle, as a bearing block. And again, with your knife, thumb on the tip for safety, I'm going to get in there and whittle that out and make it nice and deep. Okay, so we want a nice deep hole in that for our spindle to go into, and that will help it to not kick out. If it's too shallow, then you're likely to lose it, and it'll kick out and it'll just frustrate you. So you want to make sure that that pointy tip goes into the bearing block nicely. Now with the bearing block, one added thing that you can do is you can put some leaves, or some grass even, but any green vegetation into the actual bearing block, which will help to lubricate the spindle and keep that in from building up any heat and friction at the top, because that's what you want just at the tip in the half board. And then that is going to go nice and cleanly into your half board, ready to spin. Job done, as simple as that. The other part of your bow drill is of course the bow, and again you can use any timber that you want for the bow. I wouldn't recommend anything too springy. You want something that has got a curve in it, that is quite taut, you know, not too much flex in it. And in this case I'm using paracord, but I have done them, not recently, but I have used other cordage for them. It can be very frustrating if you've spent ages making cordage for it only to break. One good cordage is roots from pine trees, the thin roots. They are very strong if you want to do that. But as you can see, the bowstring does not want to be too tight. Doesn't want to be too loose, doesn't want to be too tight. You will get through practice how you feel best to get it for yourself. You want it now. Most people have the struggle of getting the spindle into the bow. Right? So we want to wrap it in there. You need to get one end round and then the other end round, and there we go. It's in. Now I wind it up to the top of the bow where I'm going to hold it. At that point I can get my thumb on it, I've got control over it, it's not going to spring out, because as soon as you let go of it, that's going to want to flick out. So I can hold it like that quite merrily, and when you are actually in the process of using that you're going to watch this all fly off anyway. I'm not going to be using it because I'm just staying out of the rain at the moment. But when it's here, if you need to adjust the tension on the bow, you can push your thumb onto the actual bowstring itself as you are going backwards and forwards with the bow and drilling. So I'm going to let that out of there, let it fly off. So anyway, what we need to do now is we've got our spindle, our bearing block, our bow, and then we're going to drill it into the half board, which is before we cut the notch. That's going to start the friction. It's going to start to smoke, it's going to start to burn. It's literally, you're just bedding it in. Once you've got it bedded in, that's when you want to then take away the spindle and cut out that notch to the center of your hollow, and that is what is ready for then to go for the full, let's get the ember, as you'll see in the video. Then you want to put a little board underneath it, something to catch your ember. Some people will use a leaf. I like a piece of bark. I usually use a nice combustible bark like silver birch, because as all bushcrafters know, silver birch is an absolutely wonderful one for starting fires. So I just use a nice little bit of silver birch under there to catch the ember. And if you'd seen one of my previous videos about crampball fungus, then we can transfer that ember to the crampball fungus, which is quite a nice way of doing it. But a lot of people also will traditionally use a nest, which you'll then get a lot of dry grass, fibrous materials, break it up, screw it, to pull it apart, get those fibres exposed, fibrous bark as well, cedar bark, etc. And once you've got your ember on your little catch board, that's when you want to transfer that. As you'll see in the video, we transfer that over to our nest, and gently blow it until we get the fire going, job done. So, without further ado, you can just have a look at the video while I carry on having my coffee. Thank you. So, as you can see, that's how you use a bow drill. I can't guarantee you'll get it done first time. It might take you 10 goes, it might take you a lot of experimentation to get it right. But that's the great thing about wood lore, wilderness skills, bushcraft. It's the joy of learning. And it doesn't matter if you get it wrong. It really doesn't. If you try and try and try, sometimes, you know, it's better to fail 10 times and get it right on the 11th time and get that enjoyment of saying, I have done it, and you've learned so much more than, oh, I did it first time, job done, there you go, easy fight. No, just enjoy yourself, practice it, and don't get frustrated. Just, you know, just choose your materials, take your time to prep the different parts of the bow drill and simply enjoy. Back on. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me for this video. I'm going to finish my coffee. I'll see you again soon.
Thank you for watching. Please like and share this video and subscribe to the East Beds Bushcraft channel. See you all again soon.